In working with insurance agencies for now over 40 years, we can confidently say that most insurance agencies are missing out on millions of dollars in agency valuation every single year. In fact, I can even use my Austin Powers Dr. Evil voice, $1 million. Now, all kidding aside, because this really isn't funny, is that there is a specific fundamental reason why most agencies are missing out on increased revenue, profit, and ultimately agency valuation. On today's Agent Leader podcast, I'm going to share with you a webinar that I recently recorded titled Unlocking the Hidden Millions in Your Insurance Agency. I'm going to talk about this one critical area that will help you unlock the hidden millions and give you 4 concrete ways to be able to move that needle forward to not only increase your revenue, your profit, and agency value, but also improve your culture and improve the relationships with the number one asset that you have in your agency today. Enjoy this podcast. Enjoy the webinar. Welcome into the special presentation of Unlocking the Hidden Millions in Your Insurance Agency. My name is Brent Kelly. I'm the president here of the Sitkins Group. On behalf of our entire team, I want to welcome you in to this special presentation, this conversation about the hidden millions in your insurance agency. You know, we've been working with insurance agencies for over 40 years, and we learned a lot of things about what works and what doesn't work. Now, as an agency leader or an agency leadership team, you may be looking to perpetuate in a few years, or maybe it's way down the road, but at some point, you will exit the business. And agency value is certainly an important concept to understand. And we're going to be talking today about the hidden millions, and it starts by understanding profitability. In fact, in working with agencies, we see that most agencies leave about $100,000 to $500,000. Of course, there's a lot of size and scope of agencies, but $100,000 to $500,000 of profit, unrealized profit, on the table every single year. $100,000 to $500,000 of unrealized profit. Now, that's profit, not revenue. And when you think about the multiples of perpetuation, again, whether you're looking down the road or sometime way off into the future, the bottom line is you are going to leave your business, and that agency value is important. You think about multiples in agency value right now. Of course, it depends on a lot of factors, but let's just use 10x as a multiple. Every $100,000 of unrealized profit is $1 million in agency valuation. You compound that year over year over year, it is truly millions of dollars. Now, I want to stop for a second. This is going to sound kind of crazy because we're going to talk about the hidden millions. But the bottom line is this: in working with agencies, especially the last few years with market conditions and things that are going on, is that profit is probably not your number one problem. I think profit is important, and we're going to talk about that in terms of revenue. We're going to talk about that in terms of agency value, but profit is not your number one problem. Your number one problem or issue or concern or frustration, and we hear it time and time again, is what? It's people. It's people issues. It's finding the right people, developing your people, retaining the best people, getting your people to perform at the highest level, to have accountability and standards. The majority of frustrations that we hear from agencies that we talk with are people. The outcome is the profit, the revenue, the agency valuation. Those are the hidden millions. But on today's conversation with you, during this video, I'm going to talk about the issues around your people. Profit is not the problem. People are the problem. But here's the great news: they're also your solution. So we're going to talk about some key areas today in terms of people. Let me provide a couple examples here, at least a compare and contrast. Let's start with agency A. Now, this is hypothetical, but there's a lot of reality in the agencies that we talk to. Agency A is a $3 million revenue agency, okay? Now, your agency may be way larger, maybe you're smaller, but let's just use 3 million as a agency revenue size. Now, this agency has worked hard to get where they're at. However, there are some problems. There's chaos, there's drama, there's gossip, there's internal friction. Right? Every agency has that, but there's just a lot of friction that they're feeling. They're often putting out fires. They're reactive. Everything is a reaction to things that are happening, and they just get through things the best they can. And ultimately, agency leaders and their teams are a bit frustrated. But the mindset is, well, I guess this is the way it is. This is what happens when you run an agency. And there are a lot of frustrations that build animosity over a period of time. So this is setting the stage for agency A. Now, agency B, by the way, hint, hint, this is the direction you want to go, regardless of your revenue size. Again, you may be a larger shop, you may be a smaller shop, but a $3 million revenue agency. They've worked hard to get to 3 million, but they also realize this. What got them here is not going to be the same thing that's going to take them to the next level. They know there's more, and they've got to change the mindset from scarcity and problems, knowing that we're going to have them, to abundance. What solutions do we have? How do we grow? How do we develop? How do we become more cohesive and aligned as a team? And they begin to build accountability structures, that they become a self-managed agency due to standards and accountability policies in place. They become a self-managed agency. Well, what does this look like over a period of time based on these two scenarios? Now, this is a long period of time, but let's just play this out. Now, maybe you're looking at, again, perpetuation, maybe in 3 years or 5 years or 8 years or 10 years, or you don't know yet, but let's go 15 years out just to have some fun here, okay? 15 years later, this agency has grinded, they've worked, they just keep getting through things, and they're up to a $6 million agency 15 years later. Here's the problem. Every year kind of looks the same. They haven't really changed, they haven't really evolved, they just do the things that have frustrated them a little bit more, a little bit harder, and it's tiring. Daily micromanaging. Now here's the good news. There's still a 20% profit, and you take a 10x multiple off EBITDA. Based on these numbers, it's a $12 million buyout. And you may look at it and go, that's pretty good. By the way, this is a great business, isn't it? $12 million buyout. However, if we start to unlock some of these hidden millions, if we start to change the mindset, if we begin to look at things differently and focus on our people that lead to the profit, this $3 million type of agency is now a $12 million agency, right? So they've 4x their growth. The agency leader returns from a 6-month sabbatical. Why? Because they don't really need to be there, right? They become the self-managed agency. They have cohesion throughout. They have more ideal clients. They know who they want, why they want them, and how to acquire them at a much deeper level. And of course, their numbers show. They're a 30% profit. You take that times a 10x multiple of EBITDA, and now we've got a $36 million buyout. Two agencies, different paths, $24 million different in valuation. And this is, yes, a hypothetical example, but we see agencies like this all the time, right? All the time we see this. Here's the bottom line of this, and I want to be talking about with you today. It's your business model. Now, maybe you have a business model, maybe you don't have a business model, but let me share something with you. This may be worth writing down. Your current business model is perfectly designed for you to achieve the results you're currently achieving. I'll say that one more time. Your current business model is perfectly designed for you to achieve the results you're currently achieving. Whatever results you're getting right now, good, bad, or ugly, are absolutely correlated to your business model. In fact, we have some agencies that are in growth mode or they're getting going and they go, we don't really have a true business model. And I say, yes, you do. That's it. So we're going to talk in terms of business model and talk in terms of growing and developing your number one asset, your people. And I'm going to share 4 areas for you today to consider, to think about, and how you can grow your agency by growing your people. In fact, I would say this: a leader's number one responsibility, a leader's number one job, role, goal is to grow and develop this number one asset, which is your people. And we can do that through the business model. So let's talk about these 4 areas and start with something that often gets overlooked, and that is alignment. Too many agencies have a lack of alignment. In fact, we look at external results, external situations, whether it's the external revenue, right? We talked about profit. It could be external relationships with our clients, external relationships with people in our community, all these things that are important. And here's what I want to share. You cannot and will not have great external relationships and results if you do not have great internal relationships, great internal processes, great internal systems. And it's about having alignment. It's getting your team to be rowing in the same direction together. We can think about several examples of this and some things for you to consider. What about you as a leadership team? How well aligned are you with your entire agency, your organization? Do people really know the mission of the agency, what you stand for, why it's important? Do they really know the vision of the agency? Where are we really going with this? Right? Are they part of that? Are they bought into that? It's a key point of alignment. And listen, it sounds so obvious, but if your team is not willing and understanding to know where you're going and why you're going and wants to buy in with you, you're going to have that friction. Same is true with sales leaders and producers. It's a huge area that we see. Oftentimes, sales leaders are trying to get their producers to develop. Maybe you've got a player coach or two, but there isn't really accountability in place. We're not really on the same page. In fact, we'll have situations where maybe it's the end of the year, a producer didn't hit their goal, and the answer or the suggestion or the conversation is something like this. Well, you didn't hit your goal this year. No, I didn't. I didn't. But next year I will. Okay, go hit your goal next year. Break, right? No change in behaviors, no change in strategies, no change in accountability. It's just let's talk about semantics and hope that we move forward accordingly. And the big one that I want to mention, this is so critical. One of the things that we hear from agencies all the time is that we do not have alignment between sales and service. See, I believe that sales and service is much like a marriage, right? There are challenges, right? It is difficult. But when you get it right, it's a super amazing and beautiful thing. And so the concept of alignment in sales and service is that does our agency, and I'm going to ask you right now as a leader, does your agency have the same goal, which hopefully is something around retaining and obtaining ideal clients with an appreciation, a respect, and trust of the different roles? It really all starts with alignment. One of the things that we hear all the time in working with agencies is that what's been the foundational shift since you started to move forward? Well, it's been the fact that we are now on the same page. We are communicating similar things. We have a common language, a common culture. No, there's no perfect. There's always going to be pushback. But imagine getting 10, 20, 30, 40% greater buy-in and engagement with your team. What does that mean? See, you can't win battles. You can't grow with individual silos trying to do cool things. We've got to find ways to be cohesive, communicate, support, encourage, and challenge each other on the same path to greatness, right? So the first area is alignment. Second area I want you to consider for your agency. You want to unlock the hidden millions, right? You want to get aligned first. Secondly, we've got to change the dynamic of our producer structure. Now, part of that goes back to what I just said, having alignment with sales and service, and then ultimately getting our producers to move from part-time producers to full-time producers. Moving from part-time producers to full-time producers. Now, when I say that, you may go, what do you mean by that? Well, let's be really honest. How many hours every week do your producers actually spend their only diminishing asset, their time, doing producer stuff? Things like, I don't know, sales conversations, things like relationship management or leadership, things like proactive action in the renewal or continuation of the account, things like true pipeline development. We talk to producers all the time through our programs as they get started, and we see oftentimes that producers spend maybe 25, 30, 40, maybe 50% of their time, energy, and effort in doing things that actually produce a result. Ultimately, they're part-time producers trying to win a full-time game. We've got to flip that to have them become full-time producers. In fact, I know one of the greatest challenges around people is I got to find more producers, Brent. I've got to recruit more producers, Brent. I've got to develop more producers, Brent. I've got to retain more producers. Here's one of the biggest steps you can take. The world's greatest producer recruiting method. Are you ready for this? Get your current producers to do the things they should already be doing. You may say, oh, well, easy for you to say. I'm telling you, we see when agencies get really focused, when they get aligned and now flip the switch to say, listen, we've got to get our current producers who are part-time producers to become full-time producers. As an agency, here's a motto to consider. We cannot allow our profitable producers to subsidize our unprofitable producers. It's too costly in time, energy, effort, culture, and of course, millions of dollars. So ask yourself, how proactive, how intentional, and how often are our current producers truly in the game? Now, there's a lot to unpack there, but I want to leave this with you, right? This area can absolutely transform your agency. And too often we just accept things for what they are. One of my favorite phrases, and this usually hits home with our leaders, is do not complain about that which you tolerate. Do not complain about that which, oh, I wish the producers would do more. I wish they would do more things in the game. I wish they would. Don't complain about it if you're tolerated. We've got to have an agency where our structures, we are a sales organization with dynamic service. We work together. And back to the alignment, same goal with an appreciation, respect, and trust of the different roles. And the producer's role is to produce. How well are your producers producing today? Third area I want to talk about. I've got my RPM chart here behind me. It's about getting over capacity. What do I mean by that? Well, too often we see agencies that struggle with capacity issues in two things, sales and service. Now, obviously, there's a correlation there, sales and service. What do we mean? Well, salespeople are just too busy, they have too much going on. They have too many accounts that are paying them too little money, which also attributes directly to the service team. They're servicing too many accounts that pay them too little money. We give the same attention, the same time, the same energy, the same effort to basically all accounts. And there is a predictable imbalance in the universe. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but I can tell you in running thousands of reports for agencies that we see that 20% of your clients produce 80% of your agency's revenue. We can break that down further. The top 5% of your clients pay your agency in revenue 50% of the total revenue on average. If you haven't looked at that, look at your report. Look at the predictable imbalance. Now, there's a lot of things that you could do with this, and during this presentation, I don't have time to unpack all of it. But I just want you to ask you a question. Do you currently have profitable accounts that are subsidizing unprofitable accounts? Do you have accounts that are truly subsidizing a majority of accounts in your agency? We treat too many accounts the same. We don't give the attention of the higher level of accounts. We over-service accounts that in many cases are costing us money, and we under-service accounts that are truly generating revenue. And the overcapacity happens all the time. In fact, I have heard agencies, hopefully not yours, that say, I don't know if we can write more new business because we're over capacity. That's a people problem, right? It's a people problem. Remember, people is the problem that leads to profits. Why? We have a majority of our team that is probably getting paid pretty well working on accounts that aren't even profitable. There's an issue there. We've got to flip the switch and find ways to be more intelligent and intentional of how we do things. And by the way, most of this happens not because, again, we're just have any idea how things operated. They happen because we just let it go along too long and we fall into some of these traps. And because of that, we have profitable accounts that are subsidizing unprofitable accounts. So again, I'd ask you to look at your business. Are there hidden millions in this particular area? My guess is, if you're like most agency leaders, there probably is. All right, the last area I want to talk about. Maybe one of my favorites because it's fun. Not just because I've got a diagram here of a play. All right, I don't know who runs this play, by the way, but we got a play behind me. It's the idea that most agencies do not have a set offense. They do not have a unique selling process or unique selling proposition. We just hope, we just quote, we just float. Now, maybe you've got an individual or two on your team, a producer who's really good, and they've got some systems and processes that have worked. But here's the problem with this. It's really hard to replicate winging it. It's really hard to replicate one person doing cool stuff, and we don't talk about it as an organization. A lack of a set offense, a lack of a defined playbook is absolutely an inhibitor to your agency's best version possible and your agency unlocking these hidden millions of dollars. You can quote and float. You can do things enough and still do okay. That's the trap that many agencies fall into. But to have a set offense that we've defined, that's unique, that's repeatable, and it becomes part of your process is an absolute game changer for agencies. And we see it all the time. Why? Well, first of all, there's a defined path. with, of course, there's flexibility behind it. But secondly, you can now train and develop and work and practice and prepare as a team, as an organization. If you ever played sports, or maybe you're part of a music group, right? A band or chorus or something, maybe you're in high school or college, something like that. My guess is that you went to practice and you practice things based on the performance or plays you were going to run. With insurance agencies, for some reason, we just kind of take that for granted. Yeah, we do some stuff and they'll figure it out. And this person does some stuff and this person does some stuff. And we had some success here. And we have pockets of wins and pockets of failures, and it'll all figure itself out. You can do that and be okay. You can be good enough. But if you really want to unlock the hidden millions, if you really want to develop your people, you need to have a path or a process based around a unique, repeatable, and a system that generates results that are guaranteed and predictable. So right now, if I ask you, what is your defined set offense? What is your playbook? What do people rally around? What do you teach and train around? How do you develop your people through it? What answers would you give? And if you're uncertain, here's the good news. There's huge opportunity, right? Huge opportunity. So the four areas, again, I want to talk about: a lack of alignment, internal communication. We have too many part-time producers. It's costing you a lot of time, money, energy, effort. We're over capacity because we're over servicing in many cases accounts that aren't profitable, and we're under servicing the accounts that are super profitable that we want to replicate. And then number four here is that we don't have a defined, repeatable, and unique playbook. Now, what are the stakes of this game? Well, I've already mentioned this. If you don't do anything, and maybe your agency's doing pretty well, you're still going to do pretty well. It's a great business. It really is. But I will tell you, and I believe the stakes are super high in this game because the opportunity goes beyond just profits. It truly is people and culture. As a leader, there's pressure, but there's great opportunity. Now, I will tell you, and what I'm going to share with you, the best version possible experience and how we've created this for agencies isn't for everybody. We only truly work with agencies that want to go all in. We want to make a decision that good is not good enough. We want to make a decision that we know there's a best version of us waiting. And while there's not perfection, as Vince Lombardi said, you might just catch excellence. And you'll avoid the three brothers of regret. Should have, would have, and could have. Should have done this, would have done that, we could have done this. But now it's too late and it is what it is, right? So I think the stakes are super high. Now, you as a leader, let me say this, your job is really hard. Some of you might have started off selling insurance and now you're running an agency. Maybe you were part of a department. Now you're running or leading an agency or a department. I don't know what it is, but there are a lot of people needing your attention and time. And I need this. And how do we do this and solve this? And you've got your internal people and your carriers and community members and influencers and all that, right? That go into that. And I mentioned there's challenges there, but there's also amazing opportunity. John Maxwell, great leadership expert, says this: everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And I find it so amazingly satisfying when we have the opportunity to work with agencies and coach agencies that leaders step up and they say, you know what? We're doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well as a leader, but I know there's more, and I'm open and willing to take that next step. I'm willing to do that. And again, not everybody's willing to do that. But if you're a leader that says, I know there's more for me, I know there's more for my agency, I'm not going to give up or give in to the complacency trap or the good enough trap. There's more. So I want to share with you the best version possible experience. And there's 5 areas of this that I'm going to go through. I don't want to complicate this, but I want to have you understand what a best version possible experience looks like. Several years ago, Roger Sitkins and myself, we co-authored a book called Best Version Possible. And that book was stemmed from a question that I asked Roger before a leadership event. I said, Roger, what would the best version possible of an insurance agency look like? And we had a great conversation. In fact, Roger was up most of the night thinking about different areas of best version possible. And in the morning, we got together and had more conversation. By the end of that day, We had already created an outline based on so many things that we've seen and heard in the marketplace of these 5 key areas that will transform agencies to truly become what? Their best version possible. Yes, there's best practices. Yes, there's competition in the marketplace. But at the end of the day, does none of that matter? What matters is, am I becoming my best version possible? So it starts with alignment. I mentioned that today. One of the key areas is alignment. For agencies, we have core programs that every agency is part of when they become part of the best version possible experience. Leadership, sales, service, and sales leadership all begin to communicate on the same page. Right? They understand the message and the language, and they can communicate better together. It is a game changer. Of all the things that we see, we're finally understanding different perspectives. We're finally working together at a high level. We talk about people being the problem. This is a huge opportunity. Number 2, and I mentioned getting your producers to become part-time producers. Phase 2 or step 2 is the green zone. And within that, and the experience that we have, is ongoing meetings with producers and service teams, designing the perfect schedules for producers, and now introducing a rookie camp for all new producers to dive in and go, what is my role? What is my responsibility? How do I get better at it? Phase 3 or step 3 is to retain and refer. I mentioned the idea that too many agencies are over capacity. Part of this is understanding what the 80-20 analysis means for you and your agency, having relationship and continuation processes in place, doing things aligned and together to do what? To round out, to retain, and replicate our best clients, and getting super focused. The vital few versus the trivial many. Listen, as an agency leader, you don't need more things to do. You don't. You got plenty to do. What you need is intensity and focus on doing the best things, the right things at a higher level. We're going to help you do that through retain and refer. Phase 4 is to obtain. This gets into the offensive strategies. I mentioned the fact that most agencies don't have an offensive strategy. We're going to give you some things to help you put this in place to completely differentiate yourself in the marketplace, to have conversations that other agencies aren't having, to have your future ideal clients go, wow, no one's ever brought that up. No one ever has asked me that before. And the key component to all of our best version possible experience members is the fact that you have access to our entire risk and benefits concierge program or playbook. We're going to provide this for you. We're going to help you walk you through this. We're going to have programs to help you up-level that game to change those conversations. Right? And there's a 4-step process that you would have access to as a member. The last thing that really circumvents everything that I've talked about is ongoing coaching. Now, when I say coaching, certainly coaching from our coaches at the Sitkins Group, what we provide, right, as far as our one-on-one coaching, but also building the community. We've got a private online community of agencies that are growth-minded agencies. We only want to work with the best agencies that are growth agencies. We have ongoing masterminds, and we monitor KPIs to make sure you're on the right track. This is all part of the best version possible experience. We want to give you every opportunity, the tools, the resources to empower, to equip you, to educate you, so that you as an agency leader and leadership team can go, someone's got our back. I'll say it again. This role for you, for any agency leader, is not easy, but it is worth it. Our mission, our passion is to help your agency take that next step and take some of the pressure and the burden off. Right? The key is this, and I've said this one more time. We don't work with every agency. We're selective on how we work with agencies. We want to build a community of agencies that work well together and a community of agencies that truly are committed to taking that next step. Here's the other key I'll tell you. I'm going to share in just a minute an opportunity to have a quick conversation to see if there is a fit here. But everything that we do is 100% guaranteed. 100% guaranteed. We only are successful as an organization by sharing this information and working with agencies if you go win at the highest levels in the marketplace. We only win when you win. So everything we do has 100% guarantee behind it. So what is my ask for you today? If this makes sense, if some of these things that I've said today go, you know what? We could take our game to a higher level. We know there's more we can do with our people to unlock the hidden millions in profit and ultimately agency valuation. Well, step 1 is schedule a call. And on this page, you're going to see a link an opportunity to schedule a call, put in your contact form, super easy. We just want to get to know you at a very basic level to see what it is you're looking for and if what we do makes sense. If it does, the next part we'll do is we will begin to create your plan. We're going to identify specific areas that we see that could be improved and then design that plan and give that plan to you. And number three is, hey, if you're ready to get started, we're going to help you execute that plan. We're going to get you started. We have the roadmap, we have the blueprint to get you to the next level of your agency. And we're excited to do that. I want to share just a few testimonials here with you. Again, we have the pleasure of working with agencies across the country. One of the things I always say to agencies and producers, if I say it, it might be true. If they say it, it is true. And we have the pleasure of working with great agency leaders. Kevin Elliott, Diebold Agency, longtime partner. I love some of the things he talks about. They've expanded from this small town agency to this revenue producing company. They're not in a large city, but they're doing things that large city agencies do, and it's changed their lifestyle and their approach to business. Jim Lewis, EHD. EHD's been a longtime partner with us. They talk about Brent and Roger, but this is our entire team, right? This is all about increasing shareholder value. But how do we increase shareholder value? By changing the culture and the mindset, the performance of their number one asset, their people. Dave Fretz, Tricor Insurance, great agency. I love what Dave says here, and I'm certainly not going to read the whole thing, but the last part here, it helps our employees to have a common language to create focus and alignment. Right? This process, this experience to help educate, empower, and equip agency leaders to give you greater focus. And that first step I talked about, alignment, the first step on that journey. Listen, the choice is ultimately yours, but here's what I want you to think about. I want you to imagine your agency a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, maybe beyond of what you want it to look like and grow into. Now, ultimately, that decision is yours or what you want to do, but understanding that vision of what it looks like. Imagine your agency where everyone on your team is aligned and speaking a common language. They understand the different roles. They appreciate the different roles. They have respect of the different roles, and they trust together of the different roles. Imagine your agency where your producers are out in the marketplace actually producing with the tools and resources they need while your service team is giving dynamic service, uninterrupted, by the way. Imagine your agency when you truly are giving the most amazing experience to your top clients. And you round out your top clients. You're retaining your clients up to a 99% effective rate, and you're earning and asking for referrals at the highest level. Imagine your agency when you have a defined sales playbook or set offense. We're working together to achieve a common goal. We can practice, we can prepare, and we have accountability behind that to go out and completely differentiate ourselves with future ideal clients. Right? This is what this can look like. And again, ultimately, it's about unlocking these hidden millions. That we take regrets and say, we're not going to have regrets here. There is a best version possible of our agency waiting for it to arrive. We just need to take the next step. Last example I want to share with you, Chance Morgan, I had the pleasure of interviewing on my podcast. And by the way, you can go listen to the podcast. Here's the QR code. All the podcasts, the Agent Leader podcast, you can go find. It's a great way to take a listen to what our members are saying, some things that we're talking about, understand a deeper idea of the philosophy. So please go take a listen to the Agent Leader podcast. But this story of this agency, a longtime partner with the Sitkins Group, it's incredible. Chance talked about this, and the outcome, I'm going to start with the outcome, and then I'm going to get to some of the reasons why this happened. But the outcome was 32.4% average growth year over year. That's for 12 years. The average was 32.4% over 12 years. This was an agency that started with a handful of people. Now they're 100 plus and continue to grow and expand. And if you listen to the podcast, I'll summarize this. Chance could say this was because of one thing: people. It's people. Starts with leadership, but it's aligning the mission, the vision, the focus, the accountability for people. It's the fact that our people truly matter. It is our role, our goal as an agency leader to encourage them, to challenge them, to give them the tools they need, to help them see bigger than they could on their own. And if we can do that as a leadership team, our agency can grow at amazing levels. All right, so take a listen to this, because what they've done and what they do is a great example of people drive profits. Profits drive agency value. Your current business model is perfectly designed for you to achieve the results you're currently achieving. What is your best version possible business model? It all starts with this. Schedule a quick 15-minute call. There is no pressure. There is no obligation. We simply want to know if there is a fit. Again, we are selective on who we work with. If you're an agency that says, hey, listen, I want to take the next step. We want to take the next step, or at least we certainly want to learn how to take the next step, or more about how you can help us do that. Start with a 15-minute phone call to discuss your goals and your challenges. It is the first step, and there's no pressure. There's no obligation. Simply scan this code. You can do this right now. Put your information in. We'll get in touch with you. Find a time that works. It's most convenient for you, or click the link somewhere on this page. Listen, I thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. There's a lot of things that you could be doing right now, and I just want to say I'm grateful and thankful that you are willing to take some time to learn more about how to pour into your agency, which is likely your largest asset, to truly become that best version possible, to understand some of the key areas that are causing your agency to lose millions of dollars in agency value, that are holding you back from high-level profit and revenues, and ultimately realizing that people are the cause and the solution for all the profit that you want to gain in the future. Thank you so much for watching this. Again, I look forward to speaking with you very, very soon. Go make it a great day and go become that best version possible. Thanks. The Agent Leader Podcast is brought to you by the fine folks at the Rough Notes Company. They are publishers of the insurance industry's leading magazine and technical insurance content. Rough Notes magazine profiles successful agencies plus keen insights from respected experts on a host of must-know topics. Rough Notes Advantage Plus provides the tools to help your agency grow, providing authoritative information on complex coverage issues. Visit them and learn more at roughnotes.com. Wait, you're still here? Hey, Agent Leader Podcast listeners, Brent Kelly again. I want to first of all thank you for listening to the Agent Leader Podcast and your continued support. If you would like to have more content come your way, please help us by sharing the podcast, subscribing to the podcast, telling people about the podcast. And if you as an agent leader are truly ready to take that next step in your agency, you're committed and want to be that best version possible agency, don't wait. Go to sitkins.com/book a call. Sitkins.com/book a call. We want to provide the blueprint for your agency to help you create more impact with less effort. And it all starts by going to sitkins.com/book a call. All right, now you can actually go. Thanks.